My name is Rolando Reyes. After retiring from my career, I found myself with a significant amount of free time on my hands. This led me to revisit an old passion of mine, writing poetry and short stories, which I had enjoyed during my college days. I'd like to share one of them with you, and I hope you'll enjoy it.
My cover of Time to Cry, a poignant song. I wrote a relatable fictional story below that I thought captures the emotions and themes of heartbreak, betrayal, and regret.
As a teenager, she had fallen in love easily, experiencing the fleeting highs of teenage crushes. But then she met the one who seemed to be her true love. She had given herself to him completely, surrendering to the intensity of their passion under a dim-lighted motel room. Nights together were intoxicating, and she thought their love would last forever. But one fateful day, she saw him with another woman, obviously pregnant. The confrontation that followed was devastating. The man was stunned, the woman bewildered, clearly unaware of the man's relationship with Jessie. The man tried to explain, but the words rang hollow. After a moment of silence, Jessie turned her back, her heart shattered, and walked away, knowing that the truth couldn't be distorted by lies. Part 3. Heartbroken and devastated, Jessie immersed herself in her office work, trying to distract herself from the pain. But as the days went by, her supervisor, Ramon, noticed a change in her. Her usual enthusiasm was gone, and her performance was suffering. Ramon called her into his office, concerned about what was troubling her. With some hesitation, she opened up to him about her recent heartbreak. Ramon listened attentively, holding her hand in a gesture of compassion and understanding. This marked the beginning of their daily conversations, which gradually blossomed into a close relationship. As they shared more about their lives, past experiences, and current interests, she found herself drawn to Ramon's kind and empathetic nature. The pain of her past betrayal slowly began to fade. Ramon, however, was married, and despite this, he couldn't deny the strong desire that had taken hold of him. She was young, beautiful, and alluring, and the prospect of having her as his mistress was tantalizing. Thus began their forbidden love affair, a secret they kept hidden for the next 3 years. They indulged in their desires, stealing moments whenever they could, their passion for each other growing stronger with each passing day. Part 4. Jessie's whirlwind affair with Ramon had been intoxicating, making time fly by in a haze of passion. But as the days turned into years, reality began to set in. Jessie realized that her dream of having a family would remain elusive as long as she continued her affair with Ramon, a married man. She yearned for a life where she could openly have children of her own. As she approached her 30th birthday, the thought of her biological clock ticking away filled her with anxiety. It was then that Jerry entered her life. A persistent suitor, Jerry proposed to Jessie, offering her his fervent and endless love. Torn between her feelings for Ramon and the promise of a new life with Jerry, Jessie had a heart-to-heart conversation with Ramon. She confessed her desire to have a big family, a future they both knew was impossible for them to share. With heavy hearts, they agreed to part ways. In the end, Jessie accepted Jerry's proposal, choosing a future filled with hope and possibility. Though she would always cherish the memories of her love and time with Ramon, she was ready to start anew, embracing the promise of a life with Jerry. Part 5. Jenny's acceptance of Jerry's proposal led to a simple yet solemn wedding. Though true love wasn't present, Jerry's passion and care provided Jenny with the stability she craved, a normal life where she could build a family. Within their first year of marriage, they welcomed a beautiful baby girl who resembled Jenny as a child. This new life brought Jenny assurance that her dreams were being fulfilled. Determined to move on from her past, Jenny tried to erase memories of her passionate moments with Ramon and focused on being faithful to Jerry. However, continued working in the office under Ramon's supervision proved challenging. Their unresolved feelings for each other lingered, making it difficult to ignore the passion still burning between them. Eventually, they succumbed to their desires, rekindling their forbidden affair in secrecy. Their illicit reunion continued until Ramon accepted an overseas job. Jenny felt a pang of sadness, but Jerry's unwavering love and care comforted her, alleviating her loneliness. As the years passed, Jenny's dream of a big family was realized with the arrival of 2 more daughters. Though her past still lingered, Jenny found solace in the love and stability Jerry provided, allowing her to build a life filled with purpose and joy. Part 6. 15 years into her marriage, Jessie had long since come to terms with her past transgressions. Despite the occasional, guilt-ridden reminiscence of her passionate moments with Ramon, she had found peace in her role as a devoted mother to her children. However, fate has a way of disrupting even the most settled of lives. While shopping at a mall, Jessie suddenly found herself face to face with Ramon. The air was thick with tension as they stood there, frozen in surprise. Ramon broke the silence, his voice low and husky. "How are you?" Jessie managed a barely audible "fine." With some hesitation, Ramon asked her to join him for lunch, gesturing toward a nearby dining area. Despite her initial reservations, Jessie agreed, and they sat down together, awkwardly at first, but gradually easing into a comfortable rhythm. As they reminisced about their past, their passion began to rekindle. Memories they thought were long buried resurfaced, and their longing for each other became impossible to ignore. Temptation got the better of them, and they slipped out of the restaurant, heading to their old hideaway. As they hastily exited, they collided with a familiar face, an acquaintance who looked perplexed by the urgency of their departure, and the telling fact that they were holding hands.
Jessie sat at the end of their dining table, her eyes brimming with tears as she stared at the scattered bills in front of her. The most were overdue, and her family's paycheck-to-paycheck existence was suffocating. With 5 days to go before her next monthly income, the situation felt dire. This had been their reality for 5 years since Jerry lost his job. Even when they were both working minimum wage jobs, making ends meet was a constant struggle. Supporting the education of their 3 teenage children, all in middle school, was a heavy burden. Part-time jobs were scarce, and Jerry had found it tough to land a new job. As a result, they had decided he would stay home and be a house husband. As Jessie pondered her options, borrowing from friends or maxing out her credit card, which she only used in emergencies, tears welled up in her eyes. She raised her arms in despair, as if surrendering. Just then, the door burst open and Jerry walked in, his face grim and his eyes blazing. He threw some photos onto the table, on top of the unpaid bills. Jessie's eyes widened as she saw the familiar images, photos of her getting out of a car in a cheap motel parking lot, and another of a man holding her waist tightly as they entered the motel. Jerry's face turned red with rage, and he berated her, his voice echoing through the house. "Explain these," he thundered, not caring that the neighbors might hear. "Were those late nights at the office just a cover? Were your weekend visits to relatives and friends just lies? Were you spending hours and days with another man?" Jessie's words caught in her throat, and she sat there, stunned, like a fish gasping for air in shallow water. Pictures Jerry threw at her were damning evidence of her infidelity. The secret she had kept hidden for years was finally out. Jessie had been discreet and cautious, but naive to think she could indulge in those stolen moments forever without being discovered. Jerry waited for an explanation, his anger momentarily tempered by a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, he thought, there was a reason behind his wife's betrayal. But as the minutes ticked by, Jessie's sobs and trembling body provided the only answer he needed. Her bowed head was a silent admission of guilt, a truth Jerry couldn't bear to face. He turned away, his back to Jessie, and slowly walked towards the door. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew he had to leave. As Jerry walked away, his heart seething with hatred for his wife's betrayal, Jessie sat alone in the kitchen, lost in thought.
Jerry's parting words cut deep as he walked out of their home, leaving Jessie shattered. Your actions, thoughts, and intentions have consequences, he taunted. Now, you'll spend the rest of your life enduring the suffering you've brought upon yourself. The weight of Jerry's words crushed Jessie, leaving her a broken,